Run. My name is Nafisa Fai, and I'm running for Washington County Commissioner, District 1, which is Beaverton, Aloha, Cooper Mountain, and Reedville, so a little bit of Hillsborough. I am running because I have the experience and expertise to lead our district successfully and to be the necessary skills to be really our district to have tremendous impact. I'm also running to be the voice that represents and reflects the people in our district, and also be a voice for small businesses. I'm a small business owner. I've utilized the chamber here, benefited some of the resources that are provided here. I know that our businesses are struggling, and I want to be that voice for our businesses. I'll get it out of the way. A lot of people ask me where you're from. So I'm originally from Somalia, and I lived in Oregon for over 22 years. And Beaverton is our chosen home. My family and I decided to raise our boys here. Last legislative session, I had a business client where I was really able, they were asking the state to give them $4.5 million, and I was able, as a business person, able to get them $2.5 million. So I have a proven track record to really lead our district successfully, and I'm hoping to have your votes and be that voice for our small businesses here.
I'm Jeff Hindley. I'm a longtime Beaverton resident. I've lived here for about 35 years. I went to Bose Elementary, Highland Park Middle School, and graduated from Beaverton High School. So I have a pretty strong interest in what happens here. I've seen a lot of changes, both good and bad. I'm seeing kind of where we're going, and what I'm hearing from a lot of people is they're struggling with taxation and fees. They're struggling with every levy and bond measure that comes down the pike is a problem for them. And I think I spent some time with our finance director for the county, and there's some lean years coming for Washington County. There's a concern that we're going to get to a point where we need to be having someone in office who's a little more conservative fiscally and is willing to ask some tough questions and talk about things like cuts. How do we use our flex funds, our discretionary spending? I spent 20 years in county government, and I've worked through some lean years and some prosperous years, and we're going to need somebody that can kind of adapt to that and really listen to what people are wanting, and they're wanting more advocacy at the local level. And I can bring that. I've got some pretty good comprehensive ideas about homelessness and affordable housing. They're complex problems, and they require complex answers. There's multiple tiers to each one of these, and they all have to be dealt with differently. There's not a one-size-fit-all strategy for these things. I also want to support developers and work on lowering or waiving SDC charges for folks that are building affordable housing, and right now we don't do that at the county level, and I think we need to do that, as well as single-family homes, which we know that by data, the quickest way to wealth is for people to own a home. We have to get more people owning homes, and I think the county can partner in a lot of ways to do that, and I've got some good ideas to that end.
All right, your first question has to do with transportation. With Metro putting forward the Get Moving 2020 initiative, which was initially projected to be about $5.1 billion, I think it may be approaching closer to $7 billion now. It's clear that Washington County businesses need roads for their employees and freight. What is your stance on transportation projects funding in our region, and how would you rank the priorities for Washington County?
As a small business owner, a lot of the businesses I talk to, really this is a really big problem. And a lot of businesses have the opportunity to grow and actually increase their revenues, but the fact especially in our district, is that they can't really hire employees to get to their businesses. So that's a really big challenge for our district, and to make sure that transportation is really a big priority for me as a platform, and to make sure that we're creating the pathways for our businesses to be able to hire and increase their revenues.
Yeah, this is a good question. I hear this from a lot of people. I think right now, my thought process is that all national data as well as local data says the same thing. 85 to 88% of people anywhere want and need improved infrastructure for vehicles, and that can't be denied. We have to do a better job at that. Right now, MISTIP in Washington County pays about $35 million a year for major projects. 25% of those projects are already for bike lanes, pedestrian improvements, sidewalks, ERMDAC just approved another $14 million for improved pedestrian access, bike lanes, and sidewalks through Washington County. Our county's doing a great job at that, and I think that interconnectability is absolutely important. But right now, ridership on MAX and light rail is down for the last 5-6 years to the tune of millions of people are riding it less, and the population's going up. There's a reason for that. People still need to drive cars, and I think that there's a lot of folks that cannot use transit for a variety of reasons, and I think they have to be respected and listened to, and I don't think that happens a lot. I try not to be so ideologically driven as I am trying to use a lot of data and facts to make good decisions and listen to what people want. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of folks that I talk to, that's what they want. And I think government needs to be responsive to that.
All right, Jeffrey, this question's back to you. It has to do with water. Water is a huge issue and is only going to grow. What do you believe the county should be doing today to ensure water for businesses and residents in the future?
Well, the good news for those of you that pay close attention to this, the county's already doing a great job because the Willamette Valley Willamette Water Supply Project is well underway and is going to be a secondary source of water for entire Washington County. It's going to provide 5,000 jobs and millions of dollars in investment in the community. It's already from a source that's being used by Wilsonville and Sherwood right now, and it's going to be coming up over Cooper Mountain. They're getting a whole bunch of stuff going on up in Cooper Mountain right now. And all the water tanks are going up there, and it's going to be spread out throughout all of Washington County as a secondary source, as well as one that's sustainable through earthquakes, which right now our current water supply is not, which is why it was enacted. It's largely paid for by a long-term bond from federal government through EPA, and it's going to lower, right now, Tualatin Valley Water is expecting about a 10% raise in water rates every year. That's impacting people. With the new water supply project, we're going to be down to about 3 to 5%, which is pretty good. So I think that they're doing a good job, and I think that we're going to continue to support that project over the next 5 years when it's going to be implemented.
I sit on the Clean Water Services for our district, District 1, and I think Washington County is doing a great job of investing into water resiliency and really getting grants that really bring in some resources and construction work to our district especially. And I do support that, and I think we need to assess how much are we charging our businesses to water, and I think we need to look at that. And I think we can provide some incentives to businesses so that they're not paying a lot of money to the water that they're being charged.
All right, last question for this section. Let's go to affordable housing. Washington County has received millions from the Metro Bond recently and is putting those dollars to work as we speak. What about housing for working families in Washington County? What do you see as barriers to affordable housing for all?
Good question. You know, as a person that came here and lived in low-income apartments and now owns her own house, I know that we need to look at affordable housing twofold. We need to look at subsidizing housing and affordable housing, making sure that, you know, our developments, we need to figure out, we do have a lot of lands, and I think we are short on house supplies. And how do we make sure that happens is that we really need to look at the affordability of, can a working family who earns minimum wage, can they afford to buy $500,000 houses? So we need to have that conversation. And I also think we need to figure out how do we make sure that some of the developments are for subsidizing and that people in low income can really afford and to be able, not be able to be pushed up.
Yeah, no, and I touched on this a bit earlier. I think we need to provide housing on all levels. I think we need to do a better job of working with our developers to lessen the financial load that's always passed on to consumers. It's unavoidable. Right now, we don't relax SDC charges or TDTs or TLTs and all those acronyms that are basically taxes and fees on all developers. TLT just went up to $9,000 per single family home last year, and right now it's close to $40,000 to build a single family home for charges for developers. That money is passed on somewhere. It's to the people who buy those houses. So for developers that are going to be building homes that are more affordable, and I'm talking maybe the $350 range, we need to be looking at partnering with them to lower the cost to build a home. Because like I said earlier, home ownership is the best way for people to get and to generate wealth for themselves, as well as generational wealth they can leave to their families and children. People who are suffering from a lower socioeconomic status are the ones that are really struggling with that. If you stay in an apartment your whole life, you're not generating wealth. We have to be able to support people getting into homes. The county has a lot of flexible use of their money that they can use to provide and support local nonprofits who are already doing some of that work. I think we can do a better job with that.
Thank you.